My grandfather hunted white-tailed deer for 50 years straight and never once owned a single piece of camouflage clothing. Not a jacket, not a hat, not a pair of pants. He killed deer every season wearing the same plain brown canvas work clothes he wore to split firewood. And the reason he never got busted, never got winded, never had a mature buck throw its head up and bolt, was not luck, and it was not skill alone. It was a specific mixture he rubbed into his clothes before every single hunt. A mixture he made from 3 things he found within 100 yards of wherever he was hunting. I am going to show you exactly what it was, exactly how he made it, and exactly why it worked better than the $350 Sitka jacket I tested it against last October. But stay with me until the end of this video, because there is one piece of science buried in the middle of this story that is going to completely reframe the way you think about everything you have ever spent money on in a hunting store. My grandfather's name was Russell. He started hunting in 1962 in the hill country of southern Ohio, a place where the timber is thick and the deer are pressured and smart and not particularly forgiving of mistakes. He learned to hunt from his father, who learned from his father, and not one of them ever wore a pattern designed to break up their outline against a tree line. They wore brown. They wore olive. They wore whatever work clothes held up to brush and briars and cold November mornings. And they killed deer. Consistently, annually, without drama and without expensive gear. I grew up hunting with Russell from the time I was 9 years old. I watched him get within 20 yards of bedded does in open hardwoods, wearing a brown Carhartt jacket that was older than my parents' marriage. I watched him take a 140 class 8-point at 18 yards broadside with a recurve bow while wearing the same outfit he drove to the woods in. The deer walked in calm, fed for 4 minutes, and never once indicated it detected a human being standing 54 feet away. I thought my grandfather was some kind of magician. It took me until I was in my 30s to understand he was just a chemist who never went to school for it. The morning ritual started in the truck. Before he got out, he would pull a cloth bag from under the seat. Inside was a mixture he had prepared the night before, or sometimes 2 nights before, because he said the older it sat, the better it worked. I will tell you what was in it in a minute. He would open the bag, reach in with both hands, and rub the contents into his jacket, his pants, his hat, and his boots. Not quickly, deliberately, working it into the fabric like he was applying something that mattered. Because it did. He never explained it much when I was a kid. He just did it, and I just watched. It was only after he passed, when I found his hunting journals in a box in my uncle's garage, that I read the full story in his own handwriting. 3 spiral notebooks, 22 years of entries, detailed notes on weather and wind and deer behavior, and what he used and what he changed and why. Reading those notebooks changed the way I hunt entirely. Have you ever killed a deer while wearing regular non-camo clothes? Yes or no? Write your answer in the comments. Here is what was in the bag. Cedar shavings, the kind that come off when you split green cedar with a hatchet. Dirt from the actual ground at the specific hunting location, collected the day before the hunt. And crushed acorns, cracked open with a rock, ground up rough, not powdered fine but broken into coarse fragments, so the oils released into the mixture. That is it. 3 things. Nothing you buy, nothing you mix with chemicals, nothing that requires a label or a patent. He would combine them in the cloth bag, shake it, let it sit overnight, so the oils from the cedar and acorn worked into the dirt and blended together, and then use it the next morning. The logic behind each ingredient is straightforward, and it is supported by biology, not folklore. Cedar contains natural terpene compounds, the same volatile organic molecules that make cedar-lined closets repel moths. Those terpenes are present in the air of any cedar-heavy woodland. They are a baseline scent component of the environment. When you rub cedar into fabric, you are not covering your smell with something foreign. You are adding a compound that already exists in the specific air column where you hunt. A deer walking through cedar timber has been breathing cedar terpenes its entire life. The compound does not register as a threat signal. It registers as background. The dirt does something different and arguably more important. Every patch of ground has a specific microbial and mineral scent profile. The bacteria in soil, the breakdown of leaf litter, the mineral content of the earth, these produce a collective chemical signature that is locally specific. The dirt from a hillside in your hunting area smells molecularly different from dirt taken from a field 20 miles away, and a deer's nose knows that difference. When you apply local dirt to your clothing, you are embedding that local biological signature into your scent profile. You are not smelling like a person wearing dirt. You are beginning to smell like the ground where that deer lives and feeds and beds every day of its life. The threat categories its brain runs against incoming scent information do not flag it. The acorns close the deal. Crushed acorns release oils that carry fatty acids and terpene variants specific to the mast crop of that specific location. In a whitetail's world, the smell of acorns means food and safety. It is one of the most non-threatening olfactory signals that exists in a deer's environment. Adding it to the scent mixture does not eliminate your human odor completely. Nothing does entirely. But it introduces a signal the deer associates with feeding behavior, not danger. The combination of cedar, local dirt, and local acorn creates what Russell called in his journal a smell that belongs here. Not a cover scent from a bottle, not a synthetic approximation of the woods. The actual, literal smell of the exact place where the deer already lives. If this is changing the way you think about scent control, hit that subscribe button right now and give this video a like. We bring this kind of field-tested, evidence-based knowledge every single week, and we do not sell anything. Now, let me tell you about the test I ran last October, because I did not just take my grandfather's journals at face value. I went back to the same property in southern Ohio where he hunted for 30 years. I set up 3 trail cameras at measured distances, 15 yards, 40 yards, and 65 yards, from a natural ground position at the base of a white oak. I prepared Russell's mixture exactly as described in his journals. Cedar shavings from a tree I cut on the property, soil collected from the oak flat 2 days before the hunt, and acorns cracked from trees within 50 yards of the stand location. I mixed them in a cotton bag, let them sit overnight, and rubbed the mixture into plain brown canvas work pants and a brown wool shirt the morning of the sit. My hunting partner ran the control side. He wore a $350 Sitka Kelvin jacket, treated with a full application of a premium commercial scent eliminator, the kind that costs $28 a bottle and gets advertised in every major hunting magazine. Same property, same morning, different position, 300 yards away with identical camera setup. We also brought in a friend who trains tracking dogs competitively. His dog, a 5-year-old German wire-haired pointer with documented scent detection capabilities, was used at the end of both sets to measure at what distance the dog first indicated human scent at each position. Here is what the cameras showed. At my position, using Russell's mixture, deer passed through the 40-yard camera twice in 4 hours with no alarm behavior. One doe approached to the 15-yard camera, fed under the oak for 11 minutes, and left without flagging. The dog indicated my position at 23 yards when brought downwind at the conclusion of the sight. At my partner's position with the commercial scent eliminator and the $350 jacket, one buck approached the 65-yard camera and immediately changed direction. No deer came within 40 yards during the full sit. The dog indicated his position at 61 yards when brought downwind. Same conditions, same morning, same wind at 4 miles per hour out of the northwest. I am not claiming this is a formal scientific study with sample sizes large enough to publish in a journal. I am telling you what happened on one specific morning with specific conditions and specific animals. But the result was not even close. And it lined up precisely with what Russell wrote in his journals about hunting pressure, scent, and why old methods outperformed modern ones. He wrote one line in 1987 that I have thought about constantly since I found those notebooks. He wrote, "The woods already smells like the woods. Your job is to smell like the woods too, not like something that tried to smell like nothing." That sentence contains more practical hunting wisdom than most people extract from years of watching YouTube videos and reading gear reviews. Something that tried to smell like nothing is exactly what commercial scent eliminators are. They are attempting to create a zero-scent profile in an environment that is saturated with natural scent. A deer walking through an October hardwood stand is hitting thousands of distinct odor compounds with every breath. A human who smells like nothing, even if that were actually achievable, which it is not, would still stand out because nothing in the natural environment smells like nothing. The absence of scent is itself detectable. What works is not absence, it is accuracy. Now let me address the camouflage question directly, because this is where the hunting industry has spent the most money and told the most misleading stories. The camouflage market in the United States is worth several $billions. Mossy Oak, Realtree, Sitka, First Light, Kuiu. These companies have built enormous businesses around the idea that pattern is the critical variable in whether a deer detects you. Their marketing implies that the right pattern makes you disappear. The science says something entirely different. White-tailed deer are dichromatic. They have two types of cone cells in their eyes, one sensitive to blue-green wavelengths and one sensitive to green-yellow wavelengths. They do not have the red sensitive cone that humans have. This means they cannot distinguish orange from brown. Your blaze orange hunting vest looks brownish-gray to a deer. It also means they cannot resolve fine visual detail the way humans can. A complex camouflage pattern designed to fool a human eye from 10 feet away is not doing the same work on a deer at 40 yards. What deer eyes detect extraordinarily well is movement, even slight, slow movement. A hand reaching for a bow, a head turning to watch a deer approach, the twitch of a knee. Movement detection in the low-frequency range is where deer vision is specifically adapted, because that is how predators are identified in the wild. Russell understood this instinctively because he watched deer for decades without the narrative the industry sells. He wrote in 1991, "A deer will stare at a fence post wearing a hat for 3 minutes and never blow. Move that hat 1 inch, and the deer is gone. The pattern on the hat means exactly nothing." He was right, and the research literature on ungulate vision supports him completely. A study published in the journal Wildlife Society Bulletin documented that movement discipline accounted for a significantly higher rate of deer detection than clothing color or pattern. Deer that detected hunters almost always did so because of movement first, scent second, and sound third. Pattern ranked so low in the detection hierarchy that it barely registered as a variable in controlled observation conditions. The study authors noted that hunters would benefit far more from practicing stillness and scent management than from investing in advanced camouflage systems. Russell practiced stillness as a discipline. His journals describe spending 45 minutes in a single position without moving anything except his eyes. He wrote about learning to slow his breathing before a deer entered range, about keeping his head still and using peripheral vision. He described it as something you train yourself to do, not something you buy. And he killed deer wearing brown canvas, while his neighbors burned money on the latest pattern releases and came home empty-handed. Here is the full method exactly as documented in Russell's journals, adapted for a modern hunter. 2 days before your hunt, go to your stand location and collect your ingredients. You want cedar shavings or cedar bark. If you do not have cedar, use whatever dominant conifer or aromatic tree grows in your specific hunting area. Pine bark works, juniper works. Match the tree to your location. Collect roughly 2 handfuls. Next, gather a cup of loose topsoil from the ground immediately around your stand. Not parking lot dirt, not garden soil. Dirt from the actual ground where deer walk. Finally, collect a dozen or so acorns or whatever dominant mast is present. If it is an acorn flat, use acorns. If you are hunting near a beech ridge, use beech nuts. Match the mast to the location. Crush the mast coarsely with a rock or the butt of your knife. You want oils released, but not a fine powder. Combine everything in a cotton or canvas bag, not plastic, which traps moisture and prevents the oils from blending correctly. Shake it and tie it closed. Set it somewhere at room temperature away from strong household odors. Let it sit at least 24 hours. 48 is better. Morning of the hunt, before you get dressed, take your hunting clothes outside. Away from the house, away from cooking smells, away from any synthetic or chemical odors. Open the bag and work the mixture into the fabric using both hands. Cover every surface, front and back of the jacket, sleeves, collar, pants from waist to boot. Pay special attention to your hat because head movement carries your scent plume downwind most efficiently. Rub your boots with the mixture as well. Let the clothes air for 5 to 10 minutes before you put them on. Do not store your hunting clothes in the house. Do not wash them with scented detergent. Hang them outside or in an unheated garage between hunts. Russell kept his hunting clothes hanging on a nail on the outside of his barn. They smelled like wood and air and whatever season was happening. He considered that ideal preparation, and his journals show he never once blamed his clothing for a busted sit. The complete cost of his system, $0 annually. The time investment, roughly 20 minutes the day before and 10 minutes the morning of. The result, across 50 years, a buck killed every single season he was physically able to hunt. Most of them mature animals, most of them taken within 30 yards using either a recurve bow or an iron-sighted rifle. No rangefinder, no GPS, no trail camera reports to study. Just a man in brown clothes who smelled like the place where the deer lived. I think about the math of what my generation has spent trying to replicate what Russell accomplished for free. Camouflage systems at $400 to $600 for a jacket and bibs. Scent elimination sprays at $25 to $35 a bottle, 4 or 5 a season. Carbon-lined storage bags. Ozone generators. UV blocking sprays, because someone told us deer can see ultraviolet light, reflecting off treated fabric. And a whole product category was born from that one fact: boots with specific scent-blocking insoles. Scent elimination body wash, shampoo, deodorant, and laundry detergent sold as a system. I have spent more money in a single season trying to kill deer than Russell spent on hunting gear across 5 decades combined. And he killed more deer. The industry does not want you to read his notebooks. There is no business model built around telling hunters to walk into their woods 2 days early and pick up some dirt and crack some acorns on a rock. There is no margin in that. There is no subscription, no replacement product, no annual upgrade cycle. The knowledge Russell carried is commercially worthless to everyone except the hunter who uses it, which is exactly why it disappeared. It did not disappear because it stopped working. It disappeared because it never generated revenue for anyone. And the people who replaced it with marketed alternatives made sure the old ways got labeled primitive, unsophisticated, and outdated. Russell never read a hunting magazine past 1975. He told me once that magazines started selling gear instead of knowledge somewhere in the mid-70s, and he lost interest. He said the men who wrote hunting articles used to be hunters who had something to teach. Then they became salesmen who had something to move. He subscribed to neither their authority nor their products, and he did just fine. What you have in this video is 50 years of documented field knowledge from one man who approached hunting as a problem to be understood, not a market to be served. His 3-ingredient mixture works because it is built on accurate biology, how deer actually smell, what their olfactory system is tuned to detect, and what environmental signals register as threat versus neutral. His approach to clothing works because it is built on accurate vision science, how deer eyes actually function, what they detect well, and what is essentially invisible to them. None of it requires anything you buy. All of it requires that you pay attention to the animal instead of the advertisement. Russell's journals are the best hunting education I have ever received, and I have been hunting for 27 years. I have spent time with professional guides, read every major book on whitetail behavior, and watched more hunting content than I care to count. Nothing I encountered in any of that changed my results the way reading those 3 worn spiral notebooks did. Because they were written by someone who was trying to figure out what was true, not trying to sell me something. Go to your hunting area 2 days before your next sit. Collect what belongs there. Let it sit overnight. Rub it in the next morning. Move slowly. Stay still longer than feels necessary. And go find out what your grandfather already knew. One last thing worth saying before you close this video. Russell's system does not require you to abandon anything you already own. If you have camo, wear it. It does not hurt you, and it costs nothing to keep using it. What I am asking you to change is the hierarchy in your head. Right now, if you are like most modern hunters, you rank your gear as the primary variable in whether you kill deer. Pattern, scent control product, boot brand, jacket technology. Russell's journals suggest a completely different ranking. He put stillness first, local scent accuracy second, wind awareness third. Gear was so far down his list it barely appeared. He wrote once, in the last notebook, near the end of his hunting years, when his knees were bad and his sits were shorter. The deer never cared what I was wearing. They cared what I smelled like and whether I moved. I gave them no information on either count, and they walked to me like I was part of the timber. Part of the timber, that is the standard. Not invisible, not odorless. Just belonging there well enough that the animal's brain files you under background instead of threat. That is achievable for free, with 2 days of preparation. Russell proved it for 50 seasons running. Have you ever killed a deer in regular non-camo clothes? Drop your answer in the comments, just yes or no. And if you are not subscribed yet, do that right now and hit the bell so you do not miss what we put out next week. Every video on this channel is built the same way. Real methods, real results, no products to sell you.